What is up, Salem fanatics? Peacock TV Spoilers. We've been tracking this for weeks, and the casting news for the week of July 27th through July 31st is absolutely mind-blowing. We are getting massive returns, shocking exits, and some of the most twisted psychological drama we have seen in years. Let's dive right into the deep end because Stacy Haiduk is about to deliver a masterclass in acting. Stacy Haiduk is officially pulling double duty on Days of Our Lives this week. Not only is Stacy Haiduk continuing her phenomenal run as the deeply psychotic Kristen DiMera, but Stacy Haiduk is also reprising her role as the lovable, eccentric Susan Banks. Amazing! Susan Banks is scheduled to visit EJ DiMera on Wednesday, July 29th. Let's be real for a second. EJ DiMera is currently drowning in his own toxic mistakes. EJ DiMera is facing intense rage from Abe Carver and Theo Carver because the resurrection serum for Lexie Carver is completely failing. On top of that, Johnny DiMera is threatening to disown EJ DiMera over the tainted Coruscant drug scandal and the framing of Holly Jonas. EJ DiMera is a cornered animal right now. I personally believe the writers are bringing Susan Banks back at this exact moment because Susan Banks is the only person on this entire planet who offers EJ DiMera unconditional love. But Susan Banks also possesses that supernatural intuition. If you ask me, this is a huge mistake for EJ DiMera because Susan Banks is going to sense the darkness surrounding EJ DiMera. This reminds me of what Stefano DiMera did back in the day, constantly trying to shield his favorite children from their own demonic actions, but Susan Banks operates on pure, chaotic goodness. EJ DiMera cannot hide his sins from Susan Banks. I am predicting a highly emotional, tear-jerking confrontation between EJ DiMera and Susan Banks. And you won't believe what happens next with Stacy Haiduk's other alter ego, Kristen DiMera. Peacock TV Spoilers, we have confirmation that actor Nat Anglin is debuting as a DiMera henchman on Friday, July 31st. This henchman is going to have a massive, violent interaction with Kristen DiMera. That's crazy. This is the masked man. The exact same masked man who recently kidnapped Gwen Rizchek. Kristen DiMera is getting snatched, and I am absolutely here for it. I passionately defend Sarah Horton every single day of the week, and I ruthlessly criticize Kristen DiMera for the sheer amount of trauma Kristen DiMera inflicted upon Sarah Horton. Remember when Kristen DiMera kidnapped Sarah Horton, stuffed Sarah Horton in a trunk, and dumped Sarah Horton on DiMera Island wearing a Sarah Horton mask? That was peak soap villainy, but it completely destroyed the life of Sarah Horton. Now, the universe is serving up the ultimate karmic justice. Kristen DiMera's grand master plan to swap places with Lexie Carver and escape Salem has completely collapsed. Instead, Kristen DiMera is being dragged off to DiMera Island against her will. Can you believe it? Kristen DiMera is going to be locked in the exact same prison where Kristen DiMera tortured Sarah Horton. And the best part? Gwen Rizchek is already trapped on DiMera Island. Gwen Rizchek was the co-conspirator of Kristen DiMera. The idea of Kristen DiMera and Gwen Rizchek being locked in a cage together, screaming at each other while Sarah Horton finally finds peace with Xander Kyriakis in Salem is just cinematic perfection. But here's the kicker. While Kristen DiMera is facing her karma, the Black family is facing a ticking time bomb. Lorelai Olivia Moat is returning to our screens as Rachel Black on Thursday, July 30th. Rachel Black is officially being released from the Bayview Mental Health Facility. Brady Black and Kristen DiMera are going to celebrate the release of Rachel Black. On the surface, this sounds like a beautiful family reunion. But let's dig into the deep psychological horror of this situation. Rachel Black was sent to Bayview because Rachel Black was severely traumatized and manipulated by Sophia Choi. Rachel Black is currently grieving the tragic death of Sophia Choi. But Brady Black and Rachel Black have absolutely no idea that Kristen DiMera is the person who brutally murdered Sophia Choi. Kristen DiMera literally bashed Sophia Choi over the head with a rock and tossed Sophia Choi into the Salem River. The fact that Kristen DiMera is standing there smiling and hugging Rachel Black while hiding the fact that Kristen DiMera slaughtered the best friend of Rachel Black is sickening. I ruthlessly criticize Kristen DiMera for this. Kristen DiMera is poisoning the mind of Rachel Black. This reminds me of how Stefano DiMera used to brainwash his own family members, completely isolating them from the truth. Brady Black is so blinded by his desire to have a happy family that Brady Black cannot see the monster standing right in front of him. I personally believe that before Kristen DiMera is kidnapped on Friday, Kristen DiMera is going to whisper some dark, twisted secret into the ear of Rachel Black, setting Rachel Black up to become the next major villain of Salem. Moving on to the most heartbreaking storyline of the summer, Nikki Crawford is returning as Lexie Carver for devastating scenes on Wednesday, July 29th and Friday, July 31st. Lexie Carver is going to share the screen with Abe Carver and Theo Carver. Peacock TV Spoilers, grab your tissues because this is going to shatter our hearts. Dr. Wilhelm Rolf's Versavix serum has officially failed. Lexie Carver is dying. The temporary resurrection of Lexie Carver is coming to a tragic end. Abe Carver and Theo Carver are going to watch Lexie Carver collapse. James Reynolds and Tyler Joseph Andrews are going to deliver Emmy-worthy performances as Abe Carver and Theo Carver realize they are losing Lexie Carver all over again. If you ask me, this is a huge mistake by EJ DiMera. EJ DiMera played God. EJ DiMera authorized Dr. Wilhelm Rolf to bring Lexie Carver back, knowing the serum was unstable. EJ DiMera gave Abe Carver and Theo Carver false hope, which is the cruelest form of psychological torture. Abe Carver has already suffered so much at the hands of the DiMera family. Abe Carver lost his vision, Abe Carver lost his memory, and now Abe Carver is losing Lexie Carver for a second time. The pure, unadulterated rage that Abe Carver and Theo Carver are going to unleash upon EJ DiMera is going to be legendary. I passionately defend Abe Carver. Abe Carver is the moral compass of Salem, and EJ DiMera deserves to be locked away in Statesville Prison for what EJ DiMera has done to the Carver family. Time for the hot takes section. We have to talk about Maggie Carney returning as Rita Leslie on Friday, July 31st. Rita Leslie is the executive assistant to EJ DiMera, and the spoilers say Rita Leslie is going to scheme with EJ DiMera. Here is my highly controversial opinion that I know will spark a massive debate in the comments. Rita Leslie is the most foolish character in Salem right now, and EJ DiMera does not deserve her loyalty. Let's be real for a second. EJ DiMera is a sinking ship. DiMera Enterprises is collapsing. The ISA, led by Kat Green and Marlena Evans, is actively setting a trap for EJ DiMera. Rafe Hernandez is investigating EJ DiMera for the tainted Coracil drugs. Why is Rita Leslie risking her own freedom to scheme with EJ DiMera? Rita Leslie should be running to the Salem Police Department to cut an immunity deal with Rafe Hernandez. Instead, Rita Leslie is helping EJ DiMera cover up his massive crimes. I personally believe Rita Leslie is going to end up taking the fall for EJ DiMera, just like every other pawn the DiMera family uses and discards. Let's weave in some predictive lore here based on the internal logic of Days of Our Lives. We know the DiMera family always has a backup plan. With Kristen DiMera getting kidnapped by the henchman played by Nat Anglin, and EJ DiMera losing his grip on reality, who is actually running the DiMera empire? Tony DiMera and Anna DiMera are constantly changing their corporate plans, leaving a massive power vacuum. I predict that Chad DiMera is going to have to abandon his Italian adventure with Belle Black and return to Salem to seize control of DiMera Enterprises. Stefano DiMera always wanted Chad DiMera to be the golden child. With EJ DiMera facing federal prison and Kristen DiMera trapped on DiMera Island, Chad DiMera is the only logical successor. But will Chad DiMera succumb to the dark side of the DiMera legacy? This week is going to redefine the landscape of Salem. The emotional stakes for Abe Carver, Theo Carver, and Lexie Carver are astronomical. The karmic justice heading straight for Kristen DiMera is absolutely delicious. And the psychological manipulation of Rachel Black by Kristen DiMera is genuinely terrifying. Peacock TV Spoilers, we are in for a wild ride. So I have to ask you guys a massive, provocative question to close this out. When Rachel Black eventually discovers that Kristen DiMera brutally murdered Sophia Choi, do you think Rachel Black will turn against Kristen DiMera, or will Rachel Black embrace the darkness and become the ultimate DiMera villain to avenge Kristen DiMera? Drop your wildest theories in the comments below. I want to read every single one of your hot takes. Make sure you smash that like button, hit the notification bell, and subscribe to Peacock TV Spoilers so you never miss a single update from the streets of Salem. Until next time, keep your friends close and your DiMera enemies closer